Hello, my fellow relocators. So this video is specifically designed for relocators of bumblebees. So it's not supposed to be entertaining, although I'll try to make it as entertaining as I can. It's a few minutes long, and it's to give you a good idea of what to do in most situations utilizing bumblebee relocations. So each situation will be different. Nothing will ever be the same. One rule of thumb to always follow is bumblebees will never make it easy for you when you're relocating them. There's always going to be some sort of weird complication when you're doing it. So just keep that in mind. And sometimes you will just flat out fail at doing it. But that's how you learn. You just got to keep going, and you got to learn more and more every day. So again, to reiterate, this is just a general what I have learned over the course of time on how to do this. Some of the better techniques, some of the techniques I've stolen from Steve Gomes, but also many of them I have learned myself just from doing it frequently every year. So let's go ahead and get into it. So one of the first things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do a preliminary during the day. Now, you won't always be able to do this. Sometimes you can't make 2 trips like that, but if you can, it is much preferred, much better that way. So what you're going to do is you're going to look around, and you're going to look for where the bees are coming out of. Now, for the sake of illustration, I have a fake bumblebee here. This is a little plastic toy. And so when you get here, typically where they come in and out of, there will usually be some sort of activity on the same location. So example, you're looking and you find out that frequently they come out of this gap and they fly away. And maybe every minute or so some come out, or sometimes you see every 30 seconds. So the more bees you see coming in and out, typically the larger the nest. And then you can determine how long it's going to take and what kind of bees you're going to find. So once you locate that, sometimes the entrance, not always, but sometimes it will have some fecal matter. It'll look kind of like yellow dots, sometimes streaks. It's typically their poo. So you can be looking for that, definitely. Also, bumblebee nests have a very particular smell. It has a latex smell. It's very strong. And many times I can smell it from just by disturbing the nest just a little bit. So keep that in mind too if you're looking for it. Okay, so now let's say you're doing your preliminary and you have found the entrance. You know where they're going in and out. Now the trick is to find where the nest is. So during the day, it is best to just start probing. So bumblebee nests are very soft, very, very soft. So you're going to want to be very careful while doing this. And they will nest in the weirdest spaces. So this right here, this is just a tarp, insulated tarp. And I'm using this as a common example. I experience them being under tarps all the time. So I thought I would use this as an illustration. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a little bit of tapping, and you're going to wait for to hear lots of vibrating, buzzing, just like just like that. Sometimes you'll hear almost like a squeak. So that is part of their defense mechanism to ward off predators. Their vibrations, when you hold them on your fingers, the vibration is so intense, I find it to be very uncomfortable on the skin. But either way, that's what will happen. So, okay, let's get into it. So you're tapping it and you start hearing the buzzing, okay? So you find out the nest is right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to start peeling a little bit layer by layer. Okay, not there. And then you'll start seeing bees come out. Okay, now remember, this is during the day. You're not doing the extraction yet. So let's say you keep going and you look, okay, you just found a bunch of pile of old mouse droppings. Typically bumblebee nests will be inside mouse duns quite frequently, almost every situation, except birdhouses, of course. So let's say, aha, there it is. So you lift it, and how you can tell it's a nest is, first of all, it will have some sort of insulated material typically. They probably wouldn't mind nesting in this directly because it's pretty insulative, but for the most part, it's usually due to mice. And mice will bring in all kinds of soft stuff for their nesting, and the bumblebee queen will utilize that. And usually when you've disturbed them, they will come out of, there's usually 3 or 4 different holes on the top of the little insulative mound that they've covered over to the nest. And that is what they will be using. And they will come off the top, and sometimes they'll turn on their back like this, and they'll put their butt up, and they'll kind of give you this little look. But that means that they are trying to ward you off with intimidation, with their stingers out. So that little high five thing that it looks like they try to do, that's actually a sign of aggression, saying to go away. It's actually not high-fiving you. So so now you got this understood, you know where it is, you make a plan. Okay, I'm going to come back at night, and I know how to do this now. So let's come back at night. Okay, so it's not actually nighttime, because I didn't feel like doing this at night. I just wanted to get the video done with. But anyways, let's pretend, for all intents and purposes, it is nighttime. So now you know exactly where the nest is, and you're going to be set up. So let's go ahead and take a look at the gear you're going to need. So the gear I like to have is very simple. You really don't need a lot. You're definitely going to need a relocation box, like right there. But for the most part, you just need a vacuum and basically a big mechanical, like industrial version of an aspirator. So how it works is really, really, really simple. It looks complicated, but really is not. You can build one of these pretty easily. So this is a peanut butter jar, one of my favorites for bumblebees. But I have other ones too that I use. It just depends on what I have that day sometimes. But all it is, this is a 1-inch tube. I always try to make everything consistent. I use everything try to be 1 inch. That makes everything so much easier. So have a piece of wood, drill a hole in it. It's rounded. I filled a bunch of holes in the tube at the end, cap it off, put a little soft spongy thing on the top. Here, I'll just show you. I'll open it up. This is nice and soft in here. And that's the whole thing right here. So basically the air comes in, and with the amount of holes, it breaks up the suction, and it doesn't make it too powerful, so they don't stick to the bottom of the suction end. So they just kind of sit inside this little dome. So with the lid, what I did is you take the lid, you glue on a piece of wood, you just shave it until it's round, and then you glue the 1-inch pipe in there. It is just a single little piece of pipe, nothing complicated. And then you have a little attachment. You don't have to have the front attachment, but I find this little black nozzle. You just make them from a irrigation pipe, flexible plastic irrigation pipe, and you put some duct tape around it to make it fit. And it is so useful to have this little black tip here that is angled. It just changes the world. So this one, sometimes you can use it angled, so you can kind of hold it like this. You can have a tube longer, or you can have it straight flat. It doesn't matter, whatever works for you, but this works for me. So you don't have to buy a Makita for this. This is just an example. I like to use battery powered because usually the bumblebee nests are in places where sometimes you don't have power. So, and Makita, if you have the money to buy one, I would go for Makita powered vacuum. I love these so much. All right, so you're gonna just attach that there. So you have duct tape to make sure it fits, and we're good to go. So when you're doing it, make sure that with the suction, it's not too much. If it is too much, sometimes you can just drill some holes in your plastic tube, and then you know that suction is going to be a lot less, and it won't harm the bees. The bees themselves are actually pretty tough, but it's the nest that is super fragile. Well, let's get into that. Okay, so it is nighttime, and you know where the nest is, you know where they come in and out of. So you're going to start doing the extraction. So the first thing you're going to do is when you lift, the aggressors are going to start coming out like so, like this. Now you have 2 ways to go about sucking them up. You can either directly take your vacuum end and you can just suck it up, or you can pick them up with your forefingers and they can get sucked up into there. Totally up to you. It doesn't really matter too much, but for me, I like to pick them up typically, or at least get close to it and push them in. And the reason I do that is when you're sucking up stuff near a bombus nest, it is quite frequently very dirty. There's lots of growth. You'll get mice droppings in here, pieces of insulation, sticks, weird gooey things. So I personally like to keep the nozzle a little bit further away and then pick them up. So there's usually not too many bumblebees in a nest, depending on the species, especially the ones we have here in Washington. So it won't take too long if you just kind of quickly pick them up and put them in there. So, okay, well, let's start the process of looking what it looks like to start to relocate it. So what we're gonna do, let's say, lift everything up and the bees are coming out, which they should. So I have a lot coming out, and you're taking and you put them in here and they get sucked in here, bloop, bloop, bloop. Again, if you get it too close, the insulation will get sucked in. So now let's say all the aggressors are now out. Now, when there's not a whole lot of vibration going on, no a lot of buzzing, there's still going to be some bees in the nest. Not a lot, but there's definitely going to be some. So, and the queen typically will stay in here for the time being. However, she is very sensitive and she has a tendency to escape when the nest seems that is starting to fail or there's danger involved. So be lookout for that. The queen would like to escape you. If there is a queen, unless it's in a late stage and there's multiple guys, then it's not the end of the world. But we'll get to that here in a second. So everyone's captured. Everyone's in the container. Here, let's, for the sake of purpose, let's put them in there. There. Now we got the bees in the container. Okay, so we're sucking. We're doing it. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to gently start peeling things away. You don't want to just grab it, or you don't want to just like pick it up right away. You want to see what's inside first, because you want to see if there's wax moth, if there's other particular diseases that are very visible, especially if they have deformed wing virus. That's very visible as well. You want to see and look for those things. But also, if you don't know exactly where the nest is inside the installation, many times you'll end up crushing the nest, ruining the whole thing, or crushing the queen. She's a very sensitive abdomen, so keep that in mind. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start peeling away, and when you start peeling, you'll start seeing some come out. And this is obviously a dummy nest, so let's get a closer look here. Okay, so you're going to start sucking them up, and you're going to start seeing the nest. Now, the orange represents the brood. All the brood with the larva and the pupa are in, and some of them will be hollowed out because they've hatched, and the workers will be coming around. But then what you're going to look for is the workers that are kind of silver, have a lot of silver hair. So those ones just emerged. And those ones are pretty sensitive. They will likely die when you're going to move them, but sometimes they don't. So it's best just to remove them anyways and put them in there because there's really not much you can do at this point. So, okay, so you keep going, and many times on top of this nest will be a waxy mantle. For certain species, they will just basically weave together wax inside this layer on the installation. Some species will create an actual separate wax sheet atop of it. It just depends on the species. So you're going to want to gently remove that because you're going to want to see the inside. You're going to keep doing that, and then suddenly, ta-da! This is ridiculous size, by the way, but here's the queen. Suddenly the queen comes out, you see it, you're going to want a little jar, you're going to want to capture her, and she is pretty fast. So you got to capture her, then you set her aside in a cool, dark place. Make sure she does not get too hot or too cold. So keep her aside. You're going to put her aside for now. Now you're going to get rid of all the rest of the workers, and then you're going to suck them all up. Now, you can leave some bees in the nest. It's not a big deal, but for me, I prefer none to be in there so I can manage it without worrying about any escaping. Okay, so as you're removing it, suddenly you'll notice, oh, hey, look, there's some other colored ones, like it's yellow color. So I'm going to scoot this here just so you can see it better. So the reason I put these in here is these represent the honey pots right here. So what those will be are where they temporarily store some nectar. It's not honey like honeybees. It is very liquidy. It's very flowy. So if you tip it or mess with it. It's very fragile and will just rip open with the slightest touch. You'll spill all that valuable nectar they collected. So it's better to be very delicate. Now for this example, I have it in a cup. Normally it would not be in a cup. So I'm just gonna, for now, I'm gonna take this, put it right there. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna gently push everything aside. You're gonna keep sucking up any bees that you find. And then like, there's the honey pots. Sometimes what I'll do is I will actually just cut the honey pots out and gently move them somewhere else for now. And then you got the nest, you don't have to worry about the honey pots. So now what you're gonna do, this is the important step. It is recommended not to try and grab it like this, because if you do that, many times you'll end up crushing the nest, squishing the brood. You're gonna wanna do is you're gonna put your hand under it. You're gonna gently, just ever so slightly, start to do this until your hand is fully, I'm going to speed it up a bit, your hand is fully here, and then you're going to just gently hold it and you're going to lift it. Okay, so now that you got the nest, you're going to place it in the new box. Okay, so now we got the new box. You're going to want insulation on the bottom first, okay? Because that will keep from them having moisture problems on the bottom of the nest. So I usually like to make a little gap, little indent in the insulation, and you're going to take this nest and you're going to gently put it in here, okay? And then that's it for right now. You're going to close this back up. This is just the honey. I'll show that for later. And then you got it. I like to tape it, make sure it doesn't fly open. Okay, so now we're going to finish up. So now you're going to look for all the extra bees. You're going to keep sucking up any extra bees that you find. Just rattle everything. You're going to hear for another little buzz. You'll hear them, and then you'll eventually find out you got everything. And then you clean everything up for the client, and then that is it. You take everything with you, and then we are going to do the reload, put the bees where they're supposed to be at whatever location that you are. So let's get into that too. Okay, so now let's say you're back home and it's time to put the bees in the fridge. So just regular temperature of a fridge. They're gonna be staying in here, and you're gonna take these and you're gonna put them in a fridge. And for about 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a good time. Though not too early. So like 10 minutes is not enough, because they are really good at warming themselves. They're going to want the nest to be the bees to be in the fridge for at least 20 minutes, maybe 30. It just depends on how many bees you have inside the bottle. So once you do that, you're going to do this preferably not outside. You're going to want to do it in a warm place like your home. So, and I'll explain that why. So you're going to obviously open this up, and you got the nest in here, and now they're all cold. So they're not going to be flying around, because if they're not cold, as soon as you try to dump it, they're just going to go everywhere, and it's super annoying, and then you end up crushing some, and it's like, believe me, personal experience, make sure they are cold. Emphasis, they've got to be cold. My goodness, it is so hard when they're not cold. Okay, so you're going to take it, and this part isn't really very specific. You pop them in, okay? They're going to start flapping their wings, trying to get warm, which is why we're going to want to keep this in a warmer place. So then that you got them in there, you're going to take your queen. She should be in a bottle, not held like this. And you just place her in there. You close everything up. You give them some honey. I like to give them honey. And that is it. And now you're going to place this in, keep it closed, keep the lid, keep the entrance closed and don't get out, obviously. You're going to keep this in your home for maybe an hour or so. You can even do it overnight if you want, just depends. But the reason for that is you're giving them time to reacclimate to the box and to the environment on the exterior. So obviously you have changed their environment completely. So you're going to keep them in a warm place where they don't have to expend a bunch of energy to keep the nest warm. The nest will be warm on its own. Then they have time to put the insulation back on top, like here. They'll have time to put insulation on the top of the nest, like so that they will be able to handle the extremes when you put them back outside. So keep that in mind for maybe about a few hours. 1 hour minimum, but better if like overnight. And then in the morning, early in the morning, you can set them outside and release them, and then they'll start to fly around, do their little figures, circling around, figuring out where the sun is, get a location where they are, and then they'll start foraging, and the nest will do great. So that's that process. I'll probably head to make another video about pests and what to look for in maintenance, but for now, this will be sufficient.